my name's Tate Steinsiek from Face Off, and you're watching Criticologos.
I'll call you back.
En realidad la casa está súper cool. Estuve asustada todo el tiempo, no podía dejar de agarrar a la amiga mía, parecíamos como una guareta. Me asusté, casi lloro, no podía caminar, pero dale, vengan.
Gente, vengan con su familia, con los amigos, está brutal, pueden venir, se van a asustar un montón, así que vengan preparados.
Hola, yo soy José Landrón de Criticólogos. Estamos aquí en House of Phobia, en el Museo de Vida Silvestre, con el maquillista y el talentoso Tate Steinsiek. Welcome, Tate.
Hey, how are you?
Pretty good, you?
Awesome, thank you.
First time in Puerto Rico?
First time, I'm having an amazing time. I love it here.
Okay. How long have you been here?
I got here yesterday evening.
Okay.
So, you know, I'm just now getting used to the place, but I've met everyone. I love it. House of Phobia is great.
So you participated in season 1 of the SyFy channel's Face Off, the reality TV show, and then back on season 5, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. How did you get into the show? Were you approached by somebody or?
Actually, the producers of the show contacted me on season 1, or prior to season 1, and asked if I would be interested in participating. And I was like, of course, yeah, that sounds great. So, you know, after season 1, the show really helped my career. You know, for several years I was working on amazing things. V helped me, the judge from the show. V brought me on to assist her on the Amazing Spiderman, and, you know, it established my company and everything. It was great. And then they asked me to come back for season 5 for the vets versus, you know, newbies. And it's been an amazing experience so far.
Yeah. I read you had an accident on that season 5, right?
Yeah, I had a really bad one. I had got 13 stitches inside my finger. I had a mold fall and smash on my hand, and my finger exploded and broke and got nerve damage and all kinds of crazy stuff. It's been, you know, 4.5 months later, and I still can't straighten it. So it's a process of, you know, some physical therapy and stuff, but it's going to be fine.
Okay. Also, on a previous interview, you expressed your admiration for artists like Patrick Tatopoulos and V. Neil, also, which you just mentioned. Would you say which one of them was an inspiration for you to become a makeup artist? Is there any other one, or?
Well, actually, both of them specifically were big inspirations, because Beetlejuice and Edward Scissorhands are two of my favorite movies, and V obviously did the makeup on both of those. Patrick is a production designer that he did Dark City, which was one of my favorite films when I was a kid. So, you know, the chance to get to put my work in front of both of them was, you know, a real great opportunity. But I'm really inspired by, you know, Tom Savini and Rick Baker and Stan Winston, you know, all of the greats, you know.
I heard you also relocated to Pittsburgh, right, to be working with Tom Savini?
Yeah, I worked with Tom Savini for about 1.5 years. I started his school. I went 1 semester, and then after the first semester, I actually quit and started working with him directly. And he passed me on a script called Zombie Honeymoon, which became my first film that I worked on. And I moved to New York and worked on it and just never left.
All right. So all you had was one semester of formation.
Yeah, I had one semester. As soon as I learned how to make a mold, like the little light bulb went off and everything else made sense. So, that's all I needed.
So work on the Clash of the Gods for the History Channel. How was the experience?
That was amazing. I spent 3 months in Morocco. We had a second unit in Lithuania. It was great. I got to recreate, all of the mythological creatures from the Odyssey. The Medusa and the Minotaur, Cyclops. All of my favorites as a kid. I was a huge Clash of the Titans fan, so the chance to kind of interpret that in my way and create it for camera, it was amazing. Not to mention Morocco is one of the most gorgeous places I've ever been.
When did you decide that you wanted to pursue a career as a makeup artist?
I was very young. I was, I think, like 6 years old, and I saw the behind the scenes, the making of Thriller, where Rick Baker did the zombie makeup and the werewolf makeup. And once I realized that there was a job creating monsters, I was like, that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, very young when I decided.
I also heard that when you were in press school or something like that, you also drew like a bunny or with some wolves or something. Right. When
I was in preschool, my parents didn't let me watch horror movies because they thought I was already weird, so they didn't want to encourage that weird, So, but somehow I conjured this monster that was like vomiting blood all over itself, and my teachers called my parents into school and they were like, "You need to stop letting Tate watch horror movies," and they're like, "We don't."
How was the experience working with the actors in The Amazing Spiderman?
Oh, it was great. It was really cool. Andrew Garfield was really cool. Emma Stone was really cool. Everybody was nice. V was an amazing teacher, and I got to work on the lizard characters. When the cops in the street started turning into lizards, I helped apply those silicone prosthetics, painted them, and it was an amazing experience. V's been really good to me.
For the interview, we were speaking with her, and she was telling us that the makeup only took half an hour.
It was maybe closer to an hour, but that was a lot of it was explanation for camera and things like that. But yeah, it flew on pretty quickly.
Okay, yeah, definitely quick.
You're on I've had quite a few episodes of Face Off under my belt, so you learn how to work in a fast pace.
Okay. Yeah. How would you compare that with the experience of working in a movie, for example?
It's not at all the same, because in a movie, something like this, I would take 4 or 5 hours on to perfect it, and I would take, a week to design and properly execute the prosthetic. But, on the show, you've got 13 hours from design phase to delivery. So, you have to learn how to condense your craft and work quickly.
When you were little, what kind of dresses or costumes they put to you on Halloween?
Oh Lord! I got sent home just about every Halloween. I would be the guy that's too gross. I remember one time I went to school as a disemboweled pregnant woman, so I had the big belly with an umbilical cord with a little fetus hanging out, and they were like, "You go home and don't come back for 2 days." So, but I did it every year. I had to.
Who would you like to work with?
I'd really like to work with Rick Baker someday. He's got such a fantastic mind, but I've got some actors that I'm favorite of. I'd love to work with Johnny Depp. I've got to work alongside him with V on Pirates of the Caribbean Part 2. I got to see him and meet him and watch him do his Jack Sparrow thing. It was amazing. But now I'm directing films, and I'd like to get somebody of his caliber someday on my set.
As of September, you were in the pre-production of directing an adaptation of the short story Son of Celluloid from Clive Baker. Is it a short film or a feature film?
I'm directing a feature based on Clive Barker's short story, Son of Celluloid. It was in the Books of Blood, and he gave me the license to readapt it for screen, and I turned it into a 120-page script. And as soon as I wrap the feature that I'm directing currently, we're going to go into pre-production for Son of Celluloid.
You have directed other short films, but this would be the first one that is a feature film, right?
Yeah, this will be my first feature. These first couple are my first. I've done plenty of short films, but it's my first venture into full-length film.
Are you planning on contemplating on pursuing a career also as a director?
Oh, absolutely. I enjoy storytelling. I don't want to just create the monster. I like creating everything. I like telling the entire story. So I'll subcontract my company, Ill World Productions, to create all the effects. But I want to be the guy that tells the story.
Also, before all this, you were in a band.
Yeah.
Also in Feed and a few others.
Wow, you guys really did your homework, didn't you?
We'll try it. what has happened with the music? Are you planning on going back? Are you still playing as a hobby? Or
I still play. I still play guitar and I still play bass. Sometimes I sing for different bands and things like that. But a cool way that I figured out how to transition between the two is like on my current feature, I'm sound designing and scoring my film with Steve Austin from Today Is the Day. It's a famous American metal band, and they're nuts. So him and I are coming together, and we're going to write an album based on my movie, and so it's a way that I get to do both, you know?
Excelente, me encantó, un trabajo de calidad, de verdad se lo recomiendo a todo el mundo, de verdad, venga.